Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel where we talk a lot about SEO. Today I have a fantastic person who called me up on my comments on LinkedIn and I absolutely loved it that there was an opinion. So I asked him to join me for a podcast because I think Andy has a lot to say. And Andy gave me the most intriguing topic. It's what crypto taught me about commercial forecasting for SEO. And I was like, wow, I really want to learn this one. So Andy, thank you. Thank you for talking to me, for finding the time and for willing to tell us what crypto taught you. So welcome to our channel. Feel free to introduce yourself and then we just jump into it because I really want to know what it taught you.
Thanks, Savannah. Yeah, so my name is Andy McGarry. I am, a professional SEO. I've been in marketing now for over 20 years at the risk of making myself sound really old. Um, and yeah, I think that this is a topic that has been on my mind now for quite a while. It's something maybe I've not really, blogged about or articulated, but there's so many parallels, I think, between the uncertainty of SEO, of the commercial forecasting part, how that aligns with things like, when you think about investment, when you think about, the crypto as an asset class, when you think about, even the very fact that if you want budget today for AI to do all the AI SEO stuff, well, you got to make a business case. So I think that aspect of, not just the work, but the value of the work, how it can compound over time, and how to kind of measure that in a way that's more, let's say, financially savvy. I think that is something that, like, I think every marketer needs to have that kind of skill. But I think that in a field that is as abstract as SEO, with the very large amount of uncertainty, then I think it's even more important. And I think you mentioned just before we started the call about this thing of how you explain things to stakeholders and C-suite, and like that's never going to go away. Like that's always going to be a thing. So what I would say is that over the years, in my experience, one of the best things I ever did, which led me to this idea of how you do commercial forecasting, was the fact that although I was an SEO absolutist, shall we say, a bit like a Bitcoin maximalist in my 20s, I kind of look back on that now and go, the best thing I ever did for my career in SEO was learn paid media and actually run Google Ads. Because when you develop that kind of when you develop that like financial muscle, the commercial forecasting muscle, that is the kind of thing that on your day-to-day decision making for SEO, you just start to make much better decisions. So, what I would say from the outset, just in case, people drop off podcasts, I'm not saying they would in this one, but if anyone decides, like, I'm just going to take
Don't
one
drop
thing from,
off.
yeah, exactly.
I know
If,
where you live.
yeah, if you were going to
All
take
three of
one
you.
thing from this, what I would say is there's an excellent book called The Psychology of Money. It's written by Morgan Housel. I would highly recommend that because everything we think about in terms of commercial forecasting is influenced by how we feel about money and numbers and things like that. So his book, The Psychology of Money, is brilliant. I would also say as well, for the crypto skeptics out there that thinks it's just, it's just all scams, I would definitely check out the YouTube channel. It's called Into the Cryptoverse, and it's run by a guy called Benjamin Cohen. Now, in a field of snake oil and shillers and grifters and scam artists and all the rest of it, Ben is one of the very few guys who is very, what I would say, conservative about his forecasting, about how he predicts things, about how he uses data and charts. So I would say that, again, if you went to the YouTube channel and looked up Into the Cryptoverse, that'll kind of start to fill in the idea of like where does some of the concepts I would like to talk about on this chat. He talks about them all the time, and I think those are two people that like I say, if you read Morgan's book, if you check out Ben's YouTube channel, that would give you a really good starting point. So if you're kind of going, I don't know if this Irish guy knows what he's talking about, those guys do. So by all means, you could check those out.
I will definitely link that podcast in description, and I think I will even visit it. But first thing that came to my mind, and I am a little bit of crypto hater, I have to say, when you pitched it, I was like, okay, I'm thinking instability, unpredictability,
Yeah.
because I was paid in crypto and I hated it because I would get my salary, and by the time I was like, I don't need that money right now, I'm gonna touch it in a month. And like 1/3 was gone because the crypto value went down. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is so unstable. I hate you,
Mm.
crypto. So I am definitely crypto hater
Mm.
in a way that I don't trade in crypto. I don't get paid in crypto. Somebody wants to pay me crypto, I say thank you, no. Because as well in Malta we have this problem with banks that if you are paid in crypto, they tend to close your accounts. So
Yeah.
for me,
Oh,
crypto
believe
is
me, I'm aware of the challenges with banks and that
yes.
kind of thing for sure.
But would you agree that the main 2 points are unpredictability and instability? Because SEO is absolutely, like we
Yeah.
think we know what we're doing, and if we play by these rules, it should be. But then Google does something, and we are all in like, what now?
Yeah,
Why is this
exactly.
ranking? Why
I
have I
know.
lost
I
this?
know.
Or right now, like one day this works, and then you do it again, and Google changes its mind, and it's only Parasite. You start to work Parasite, and that doesn't work anymore, and it's only Trustpilot everywhere. So for
Hmm.
me, the unpredictability is absolutely what I think you're going to be talking about. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, look, again, if we take this back to the idea of like winning the click, like if we want to win the click in SEO, there is a thing called click probability, right? And
Yes.
I mean, if you go back to old school SEO and the whole thing of like trying to figure out click through rates and all the rest of it, but I mean, there's so many Venn diagram overlaps here. Like, so when we talk about search and we're talking about SEO, you have the whole thing of paid media and click probability, and those ideas of okay, so there is so much uncertainty. And I mean, the biggest thing that crypto has taught me about SEO forecasting is that certainty is a trap. Like this idea that we allow our ego because it's an industry where you can't point to, your certification. Like if you walk into a doctor's office, there's a cert on the wall that says they studied, they know what they're talking about. Whereas when it comes to SEO, it's kind of like, well, where's your cert? Where's your proof that you know what you're doing? Particularly if you're saying like, you could be number one in the world for casino or sports betting or something like that, but sure, it could change in the next minute, day, week. So even that kind of thing of there is uncertainty at its core. There's uncertainty in terms of like your career credibility, let alone the work you do on a day-to-day basis. And historically, that has meant that people have referred to it as the dark arts, as snake oil, as web developers. We don't trust you. I don't. Like why would I listen to you? Like designers don't
It's
want you
very
to
true.
screw their stuff up. So you know, at its core, that thing of uncertainty is just core to understanding. Like, okay, we live in an uncertain world. Okay, nothing is going to stay the same way forever, right? And so it's this thing of like most SEOs are trying to maybe forecast traffic. When I'm looking at my work on a day-to-day basis, I'm trying to forecast the upside, and this is where the crypto side of things comes in because you know like share prices go up and down. Like, the price of a Facebook share goes, up and down. There's more volatility in crypto. But as the asset class matures, a bit like, let's say how Bitcoin matures over the years, you still have those kinds of ability to map out the ranges. Like what, like if you think about it in terms of what are the KPIs you track on a regular basis, and you start thinking about, okay, those kinds of charts that you would see on these crypto channels where the guys are talking about price. I mean, you could do that with FTD forecasting. You could start to do that in an iGaming context with the KPIs that matter to you, and be looking at, what is the absolute floor of the kind of metrics that we measure? What is the absolute ceiling? And then what are the forecast models that we can build around what that range looks like? So that you can start to get you can start to build up that kind of forecasting muscle of, when we pull certain levers, when we do certain types of tasks, number go up. Because at the end of the day, we're all measured on some kind of metric, whether it's, profitability and, working in all those kind of revenue based metrics. But at the end of the day, it is very much about managing probability under uncertainty. And, why do I choose to do task A over task B? How do I allocate? If you think about, how you would allocate capital, it's a bit similar because you're trying to figure out how do I allocate resources? How do I, if we're all part of a marketing team and the SEO channel is going to get a certain amount of dev resource, how do you make sure that you get the maximum return and maximum impact on that? Well, then you need to know where to place your bet. You need to know there are 10 different things I could do, but I need to decide which will have the most impact. And then that kind of falls into that whole idea of, compounding, that like even something as simple as SEO hygiene tasks will have a compounding value over time. But, it's very difficult to say to somebody, I'd like this amount of dev resource. And if you can't put a commercial value to it, why would they give it to you?
Very true. But I think SEO is unstable for me enough that I don't like crypto. I think maybe if I wanted something more stable, then I would maybe like crypto. But I think I'm maxed out on uncertainty. But you are right,
Hmm.
it's extremely uncertain. And when you talk about it, I feel a little bit of anxiety coming on right now. So what are the most common mistakes that you can find parallels for SEO and for crypto trading? Is it something like we all believe in crypto, Bitcoin, right? That's like the biggest one. We
Hmm.
all buy it and we just keep believing it goes up. Oh my goodness, somebody says it might go down. We all hate them. And then it goes down and we're like, oh, it's going to go up because we know it. We do the same in SEO. We're like, oh, we do this and we're going to be number 3 and then number 2. And then when it goes
Hmm.
down,
Hmm.
we're like, just a glitch in metrics, not me, right?
Well, this is the thing, we need to understand, for all of the noise around AI search and for all of the noise in general in the industry, like there is a commercial value to ranking in the top 3. I mean, if you take iGaming players, if you rank, let's say you rank top 3 for online casino, you will very quickly be able to put a revenue number on that ranking. Okay,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's not going to take long to be able to go, right, okay, you can see the before and you can see the after, therefore you can measure the uplift. I mean, you don't have to be a math wizard to work that kind of stuff out. So the challenge is obviously where you are working towards, you know being able to reach that point where the commercial payoff becomes that kind of exponential growth curve. I mean, as long as we have SEO, in SEO, as long as we have algorithmic shifts, as long as we have huge shifts in what works one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 quarter versus the next, then we have all of that instability, unpredictability, all of these things that you mentioned. And those things also exist like in the investment markets. You know what I mean? So like even forgetting about crypto, if you invested every year in the regular, like in stocks and shares, there's a good chance that 2 out of 10 years will be bad years. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
even if you're investing, you've got to. I mean, look, it's a bit of a cliche. We all know that SEO is not a quick fix, and there is a degree of you've got to look at, SEO as an investment over time. Now, I'm not saying there aren't things that you can't do in the short term. We all know that there are. But by the same way that you would have a model of, if I started to invest today, what is the expectation over, let's say, 1 year, 2 years, and so on. I think for C-suite, it's very much about breaking it down into like, you know, the next month, the next quarter. And, as long as you can show, the metrics that you're trying to achieve, as long as the number goes up, then you can get enough buy-in that people go, okay, maybe this will work. And then obviously, a channel that maybe is less sexy than some of the other channels, and paid media gets just more attention to it or whatever. Like, and I don't mean just in iGaming, I mean just like in marketing in general. I think that as you build your business case, as you're able to show, so for example, like if you invest and after 1 year you've got like a certain amount of like uplift, then you'd be thinking, okay, that's pretty good. I mean, if you invest in a meme coin or something terrible, don't be surprised if you lose all your money. And by the same token, no pun intended, if you go to an, a not very trustworthy vendor, supplier, freelancer, agency, and they're not very good, then sure, you might spend money and after 6 months not have much to show for it. But like, you can't just adopt the attitude of, I dated somebody that broke my heart, so therefore all people are, all people suck. Like, you kind of have to look at it as, okay, it just wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good match. And I definitely feel like, those people who are experts in their field, who are able to show us the right way forward, whether it's in the SEO industry, like I say, look, in the crypto industry, there's a lot of scam artists. One of the few people who talk sense is, Benjamin Cohen. And that's why, whenever I look at his charts and I look at his price predictions and he talks about, what is the probability of certain asset classes behaving in a certain way, I take him seriously because he's done the data. It's very difficult for anyone in C-suite to sign off investment budget in an AI SEO project if you haven't got some kind of, you know, forecast and model. And the thing I would say is, it's like any muscle. Like, if you go to the gym on day one, you're not going to be very fit. But if you keep going to the gym, eventually you build that muscle. And financial forecasting, whether it's an SEO, whether it's in any marketing channel, it's like, it's the same idea. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Like, I've now got to the stage, and I don't want to freak any SEOs out, but I have now got to the stage where I have a daily moving average of how many FTDs I get every day, right? So I know how many FTDs I am either above or below my moving average. And if I'm above, great, that's growth. It's all going the way I want it to go. If it's below the number, then I have to ask myself, okay, is this an early sign of a bigger trend that could be a downwards trend commercially? Or is it just, it's just a blip? Okay, like, it's just a one-off blip. And so every day before I do any decision making around the tasks that I will do for the day, I start with the commercial, right? I start with, like, I'm not saying I go into the revenue per player per, tactic type depth. Like, that's a monthly type thing or quarterly type thing based on, like, what kind of strategy adjustment you're trying to do. But certainly on a day-to-day basis, I want to know that the number is going up. And as long as I do that, then I know that, like, year on year, month on month, will deliver growth. And, my boss will be happy, the team will be happy, the commercial director will be happy. And the next time I go, hey, I'd quite like to test some AI SEO stuff. And therefore you then have not only the buy-in because of trust from other projects, but if you've been forecasting general SEO, then you have some kind of models to start with. Like, you can't just go, I'd like some budget, please. It might create traffic. It might create commercial viability. Like, no one's going to sign that off.
I know, but a lot of people still do that. But I really like the the parallel between trading and SEO, because when you think of it, the charts look actually quite similar. You have got the
Oh, yeah.
ups and downs. You've got the
Yeah.
shooting
Yeah.
stars and hammers, and you actually, yeah, moving average. We all work with that. But when you zoom out in Google Analytics or any other tool that you're tracking, you see the same. It's either going a little bit up, a little bit
Yeah.
down, normal. Ups and downs are normal, right? As you said, unless it keeps going down, then you know you're in trouble. And you
Hmm.
sometimes have the hammer or the shooting star because something happens either in the market or to your website. Either you're like, woohoo, I'm gonna make lots of money because now I took this keyword from position 17 to position
Hmm.
7,
Yeah.
or vice versa, because developer, as you said, didn't take you seriously and de-indexed all your pages. I mean, how common is that? So yeah,
Yeah,
this
that
is
can
really,
happen.
really good. And I really didn't think of it till now, but my husband trades a lot, so I look at the charts every day. And this is the first time I actually see what you're saying. This is so good you brought this topic. Now, you little bit brushed on AI forecasting.
Hmm.
How do you feel about AI for iGaming and for SEO? Is it a scarecrow? Is it a good thing? For me, it's like new things to learn, new things to grow, new things to discover, new things to master. So I'm sort of
Hmm.
excited about it, but I understand a lot of people are too skeptical about it. I think it's just the way we learn to work with it. Like, it's always, right?
Hmm.
But what do you think? Where do you stand? Is it a bad thing, good thing? Are you going to be learning it, or you can try to ignore it like a lot
Oh,
of
well,
people
look,
like,
I
not us?
use it. Yeah, I mean, I use AI every day, and I think that sometimes you have to take the blinkers off. Like, if you're in a specific channel, right? and for example, you do SEO every day, or maybe you do affiliates every day, or some other marketing channel, you can kind of get blinkered in the big picture, right? Now, the big picture is if someone is using AI to get ideas or suggestions, the chances are that it's either confirmation bias. In other words, like they already know what they want. They just want to see the name appear so that they can go, yeah, cool. I thought, that's what I was thinking. I'm going to go and, use that brand. Or if, they really genuinely are not biased and they're like, no, I'm curious about a topic and I want information on it, and the AI is going to give me information. Okay, well, that's just marketing discovery 101. Do you know what I mean? It's a touch point. Like you could say, okay, but it's a bit more interactive than if I'm standing at a bus stop and there's, like a billboard or something. But I definitely see it as it is another touch point on, the marketing journey that
Mm-hmm.
starts with, I have never heard of this brand. And it goes all the way through to, I love this brand and I'm now an evangelist. Like if anyone asks about them, I'm going to say, I love them. They're amazing. Okay. That's marketing 101. That's how it worked 50 years ago, right? We go from we've never heard of it to we love it. Okay. Well, somewhere in the messy middle, there's AI now. I mean, I don't think that AI is going to suddenly become the only place where we're influenced. I mean, we see ads, it's that whole thing about we see ads, throughout our whole day, everywhere we go, whether we're out and about, whether we're looking on our phones, but like you'll see ads everywhere. So you can't be exposed for a huge portion of your day to advertising and then think that, oh, an AI answer is going to completely change the way I think about things. That's not how the brain works, okay? It's called exposure 101, okay? Like, if you're really worried that, AI is going to, like, decimate your market share, that just means that you're not visible anywhere else, okay? So,
Or you don't know marketing at all, because
or you
as you
don't know
said,
marketing at all,
it's just
exactly.
one more way of showing a billboard, because you get, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful point. And yeah, I would love people to hear it. That is something that is good. It is
No,
good.
I think so. Like, don't get me wrong, any tactic that can be used for black hat, that can be spammed, that can be overly used to the point where it has been abused as a tactic and, automatically becomes something that, like, the powers that be in search are trying to deal with. Yeah, look, I mean, once upon a time, you could use programmatic, spin up pages, use AI, get traffic. And it's like anything else, if you are doing things that, are on that edge, that you're pushing the envelope, then yeah, like none of us are going to be surprised if it stops working for a while. You got to ask yourself, like, what are the tactics that I use that are sustainable? Okay. Because as an SEO person, you might feel like the ends justify the means. Try telling that to a commercial director. Try telling that to anyone in C-suite who's like, I don't want the crazy black hat SEO guy doing stuff that might blow up in 2 months. Why? Because they've got to make commercial decisions over the next quarter, the next several quarters, the next year, right? So while you may be, doing whatever it takes to get the end result, you would have to be incredibly confident in your ability and track record of adapting over time to the next hack or the next, silver bullet. And it's very, very difficult to do that without having the foundational tier where, you can get sign off, where, people will be prepared to give you as much time and budget as other marketing channels. And that really just comes down to show me the money.
Wonderful. So as a trader in SEO in heart, is SEO still worthy to invest in 2026? Shortly.
100%. I mean, in the same way that markets go up and down, your rankings may go up and down, your return may go up and down, but it is very much something about capital allocation, the fact that it compounds over time, and the fact that, the value that you can get is exponential. So if you think about paid media, and I'm not knocking paid media for a second, like, it has taught me so much, it has helped me so much
I
grow.
was a PPC person
Yeah,
for a while.
exactly. So
I
I'm
have
not
nothing
knocking it
against them.
whatsoever, but what I would say is, you know, no matter how good you are at paid media, you have a set budget. Like, unless you can go back to the commercial director and get more money, that's your budget, okay? So you can't do more with that. Whereas when you create assets, when you create, if you think about it, like your content is an asset, your digital footprint as an entity is an asset, your brand is an asset, like there's loads of obvious things. But like all of those things will exponentially over time build not only the brand familiarity, but it's that thing of people will just start to interact with you more because they trust you more. Like it's the whole thing of exposure. Like if you keep seeing the same brand all the time, like if you're on TV, not sorry, if you're watching TV and you see the brand name at the NFL game, and then you see the same brand name, do you know what I mean? Like everywhere, then eventually you go, well, that's the first thing I think of. Again, marketing 101. So somewhere in that journey, SEO has the ability to go, okay, but like we can create as many brand impressions as we want. Okay. It's not like, oh, well, I've got to take my budget and it's cost per view or it's cost per like whatever. It's like, well, no, like if I like, we all know the World Cup is coming up. So you can imagine with the World Cup and sports betting and the opportunity there for like every single search result is a branding opportunity. Like if you search for, I don't know, like let's just say like you know uh England odds or something like that, then you have that opportunity to put the brand front and center in the search result. And for anyone that's really cynical that goes, what are you talking about, like you can't, you're not going to get any value out of that, I would simply say one of the most powerful marketing slogans in the world is 3 words. Just do it. Nike have proved, right? Nike have proved you can brand and dominate with 3 words. So don't tell me that search results are not important. Don't tell me that you can't write good search results, even in an automation way, compared to like, ads. I mean, I think if companies, I mean, hopefully my competitors won't do this, but like if people paid more attention to their search results and the way they write them compared to, let's say, the way you would write a search ad, well, then maybe you would grow more. Maybe you would achieve your goals more often instead of treating it like, oh, well, it's just the SEO nerds doing what they're doing. But like at the end of the day, you can write copy that's persuasive without using a lot of words. But that requires actual copywriting skills. Something that in the AI era, like if you're just thinking, oh, but sure, we just use AI for content now. Well, congratulations, you've now devalued your brand to the flavor of vanilla ice cream. It's boring. No one cares about it. It doesn't resonate. And so all these copywriters that are being put out of jobs for AI, it's like any company that invests in proper branding and proper writing, you're going to crush it because everyone else is going, here's vanilla. And guess what? If you're not vanilla, you're going to stand out.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing this. The last few words were just really, really amazing. Because we keep talking about it all the time. Like, yes, you can use AI, but what does it do for you? What does it do for your brand? What does it do for your marketing? So fantastic. Thank you for sharing all of this. And I hope you will come back to my channel soon.
Yeah, listen, thanks, Savannah. I really appreciated the chance to chat today. I would say that, just to close, look, the difference really between, just doing SEO and the kind of commercial forecasting side is that, it's not just about here's a report about what happened. It's about being able to report what could happen, you know? And people will get excited about that. People will get excited about that idea of being able to say, well, look, if we make this investment and we're able to forecast, like a low, a middle, and a high range, then at least, you just have to land somewhere within the range. And I think that's, people that are scared of creating a forecast because they don't want to be held to, let's say, a single number. I was like, well, don't write a single number. Always create a range. Like you have your pessimistic case, middle of the road case, highly optimistic case, okay? And those three numbers will guide you. You only need three numbers to create your range. So what I would say to, if you're in SEO and you're not creating those kinds of ranges, start doing it. Start doing it every week. And you'd be amazed how quickly you'll build up your forecasting skills and get to the point where, you're able to just instinctively know, like, whatever the KPIs are you're tracking or FTDs, but you just start to know, like, okay, am I above or below trend? How do I react to that? And do I react to that? Is it just a minor thing, or is it part of, like in the same way that a meme coin might collapse and go to zero, has your latest SEO tactic collapsed and is on track to go to zero, or is it just a temporary blip? And so, I would say that, crypto definitely sharpened my respect for that uncertainty. And, SEO at the end of the day rewards those of us who can manage uncertainty well.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.